The Studio is an Apple TV Plus original series by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. It follows Seth Rogen's character, Matt, who becomes the head of a huge movie studio, and at first, he thinks it sounds awesome. However, he soon realizes a lot of the stress and hurdles that come with being in this position because his character wants to focus on making good movies, while the higher-ups want him to make movies that'll make money. I first heard about this show when it premiered its first 2 episodes at South by Southwest, and the premise sounded really fun and interesting. And after watching the entirety of the show, I can confidently say that I had a total blast. The show satirizes the overall movie-making process, with each episode focusing on different parts of movie making, like doing a oneer, or trying to get a scene cut from a film, or trying to get a movie made, casting, etc. There's an episode where Matt has to get a director and a script for a Kool-Aid movie, but because he wants to make a good Kool-Aid film, he approaches Martin Scorsese to make it, and it leads to plenty of goofy nonsense happening throughout the episode. There's an episode where Matt and his colleagues are too scared to tell Ron Howard to cut a scene from his film. There's an episode where there's a missing reel of film and they have to figure out where it is. A lot of these situations are of course not the most realistic, and that's where the satirical aspects come in. A lot of these episodes are very funny, but it's mostly inside jokes about the world of films, and I could see a lot of the jokes going over the heads of general audiences, but it sits right home for those who are knee-deep in movie culture with its many references or mentions of movies and directors. The show has quite a bit of meta-commentary. The cast of characters we follow are very entertaining, with Ike Barinholtz being a standout, and although the show is very much focused on comedy, I like that it sometimes takes time to flesh out the characters. For example, there's an episode where they're trying to make a ripoff of the movie Smile, and 2 characters have 2 different visions of the film, where one character wants to make a good artistic film, while the other just wants to make a movie that'll make money. And they end up butting heads and trying to one-up each other, but by the end, you learn quite a bit about the 2 characters, and it makes them a lot more likable. Is it groundbreaking Shakespearean text? No. But it's a nice little detail that goes a long way. There's a lot of celebrity cameos throughout the show, like Anthony Mackie, Martin Scorsese, Johnny Knoxville, and most of them are just playing themselves, and they're all used really well for not only comedic value, but to drive home the overall point that the show is making. And some of the cameos weren't huge names and were just small and upcoming directors, which I felt made the use of cameos in the show quite fresh and unique. I really dug the style and presentation. It's very much inspired by Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu's Birdman, with the constant use of one-takes, as well as the music being very similar. At times, the one-takes can be a little gimmicky, but for the most part, it serves the story well and adds a lot to the stressful cringe comedy elements of the show. It's very fast-paced, energetic, and engaging. While the show is quite critical of these studio heads and how they screw over artistic endeavors, it's also a celebration of movie making and the art of film, and it blends these 2 ideas well and never comes off as jarring or that one idea is completely towering over the other. Unlike in Babylon, where it's very cynical and one note for most of its runtime, then tries to act like it's also a celebration of film and it feels very tacked on. I think the most unique episode in this season would be episode 6. Although it does touch on aspects of movie making, it's definitely disconnected from it. That side of the plot is just dedicated to Matt trying to release a trailer for a zombie diarrhea movie, but for the most part it's mainly about Matt going to this charity gala and gets made fun of by the doctors there. I like how they set up in the beginning of the episode the MK Ultra franchise that Matt produced.
Holy shit, speak of the devil, this is MK Ultra 4. This is my movie. This is, you know, I made this movie.
Oh, this is you? Wow.
Yeah.
Just for the doctors to bring it up later and talk shit about them.
You all care deeply about the outcome of your work, just as I care deeply about the outcome of my art.
You work for the studios that make those MK Ultra movies, right? The exploding head movies?
Yeah.
You think that's art?
I like how it shows the contrast between Matt and the doctors in terms of their professions.
Look, I owe it to you to be completely transparent. This is a drug trial. And while obviously the goal is to cure your daughter, there is a risk that the trial will not work at all.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We do not cut back to Josh after the shit-splosion. You just stay on Knoxville. We don't see Josh covered in diarrhea.
Matt just makes movies while doctors cure cancer, and because they undermine what Matt does at every corner, it leads to him arguing with them about how his movies are art, and it's pretty funny. While both parties are pretty snobby, it's obvious that curing cancer is a lot more important, and Matt just seems really out of touch in terms of trying to compare his job to saving people. And it's the episode where Seth Rogen makes fun of his character the most and makes the show not feel like he's sniffing his own farts. There's an auction going on, the doctors are trying to buy something, and Matt decides to take advantage of this by straight up sweeping the rug from down under them by outbidding them. He offers to give them the reward for free if they agree that what he does is just as important as what they do. And this whole debate ends up biting him in the ass when he accidentally falls and breaks his pinky finger. And before he goes into the ambulance, he says this.
Do you know what will be on the wall of that room when I get there? A screen.
It's not my favorite episode, but I think it's definitely the most unique one. Overall, I really enjoyed this first season, and I hope it delivers on the next one.